Hello everyone, today we're going to discuss about Alcon Laboratories Incorporated, a case study of management control system. But first of all, let me introduce you to the members of the team. The first one is Angeli Aprecia, student number 25, and then Muhammad Itisamuddin, student number 26, Dinda Rahmani Aisyah, student number 27, Nabila Hayafiani, student number 29, and then the last one is Rashika Rifa Haiba, student number 30.
Okay guys, before we begin to discuss about the case study of Alcon Laboratories, I'm going to tell you about the introduction first. In early 1985, George Leon, Senior Vice President of Science and Technology at Alcon Laboratories, reflected on his concerns about the challenges his company faced in measuring the productivity of its research and development activities. Research and development is the most critical part of Alcon's business. A company will thrive only if they are effective at developing new breakthrough products. In managing the research function, they have to address three difficult but important issues. First, how much to spend on research and development. Second, how to allocate the resources among the various programs and projects. Third, how to ensure that the resources are used effectively.
Okay, we jump to the company and its products. Alcon Laboratories was founded in 1947 in Fort Worth, Texas by two pharmacists, William C. Corner and Robert D. Alexander, who saw a need for more accurate, sterile, and stable ophthalmological drugs, those used in the treatment of defect and disease of the eye. At the time, 85% eye care drugs were being compounded in retail drugstores. Within 2 decades, Alcon had become an international leader in research, development, manufacturing, and marketing of a wide range of products for the diagnosis and treatment of ophthalmic disorder. The company marketed both prescription and non-prescription drugs, a wide variety of products. In 1984, Alcon sold products in over 100 countries. Worldwide sales total almost $400 million. In 1977, Alcon was purchased by Nestlé, the giant Swiss-based multinational corporation. Nestlé provided increased funding and gave Alcon management and mandate to increase new product development. The increased research fueled very rapid growth. Alcon sales tripled over the period between 1977 and 1984. And over 25% of 1984 sales were from products released in the past 5 years. Now we jump to the Research and Development Organization. Alcon Research and Development, headed by Dr. Dilip Raval, include 350 people, 290 scientists, 80 of whom had PhD degrees, and 60 support staff. The purpose of Research and Development Organization was to develop new marketable eye care products that would fuel the company growth. Mr. Leone and Dr. Raval to provide direction to ensure effective research activities. Mr. Leone and Dr. Raval complement each other well in terms of knowledge and experience. The Research and Development Departments was organized in matrix form. You can see the structure. On one dimension of the matrix were 4 medical specialty groups. The matrix form of organization was used because of the need for interaction among the people with highly special knowledge. Each research program and project was managed by a medical specialty expert.
Now let's discuss about the product development cycle. The product development cycle in pharmaceutical companies such as Alcon was long, typically totaling up to 15 years for a totally new drug and from 3 to 5 years for a simple product. When a new product concept was formed, the product development cycle was set to begin. First was the discovery phase of development, the purpose of which to identify compounds with potential commercial applications. Scientists designed and tested new drug compounds against the characteristics of the diseases they were studying, both in test tubes and later in live animal subjects, generally rabbits, dogs, and monkeys. When the compounds moved into the discovery phase of development, Alcon management assigned the effort a development program number, and this number identified the effort until the product entered the clinical phase of testing. In 1985, Alcon had a total of 11 development programs underway, 4 each in ophthalmology and optical, and 3 in dermatology. A successful culmination of the discovery phase of development was marked by the identification of a compound that showed promise. Such compounds were moved into the optimization phase of development. By the end of this phase of development, the scientists would prescribe a preliminary chemical formulation and make a preliminary packaging decision. Drugs continuing to show promise were moved into the preclinical phase of development. Preclinical phase of development usually lasted about 6 to 12 months. At this point, a reasonably complete composition and specification existed, and a manufacturing procedure suitable for the preparation of clinical supplies was in place. Once the IND or the investigation of new drug was filed, the project moved into the clinical phase of development. The clinical phase of development generally lasted between 5 and 8 years. When a product entered the clinical phase of development, a project number was assigned, and this number would stay with the effort until the product received FDA or Food and Drug Agreement approval, or the effort was abandoned. In 1984, Alcon had a total of 30 active projects. A drug that passed clinical testing was filed as an NDA with the FDA. The product could be sold in many countries after it had passed clinical testing.
Okay, now I will explain about shift in emphasis. In 1985, Alcon management was contemplating a very significant shift in the R&D efforts to emphasize more basic research. Up to 1985, Alcon has been relying heavily on pharmaceutical companies not involved in the ophthalmic market as source of new product ideas. Alcon scientists would screen compound developed from this company, and if they showed promise, Alcon would listen the compound and introduce tailored form of them into ophthalmic market. Compounds screened in such manner were entered into the product development process in the preclinical phase of development because the property of the compounds were already understood. The ophthalmic markets were getting large, and as they continued to grow, it became more likely that other companies would enter some of Alcon market segment. Alcon has already begun shifting its emphasis in recent years toward more basic research. The research focus had been evolving toward large-scale, longer-time study of more complex, sophisticated diseases of the eye. The inevitable shift toward more basic research made Mr. Leone and Dr. Rival even more concerned about having measure of research productivity available for control purposes because in the investment in basic research were longer term and riskier. Now I will explain about drug investment and payoff. New product development involves high-risk investment for potentially lucrative payoff. Across the industry, only about 1 every 10,000 compounds investigated in early exploratory research stage eventually prove to be commercially successful. Some drugs were breakthrough products which provide significant advantage over the competition in large market segments. Others were either minor modification of already existing Alcon products were aimed at small market segments. Sometimes, competing firms developed alternatively to commercially successful new drugs in a period as short as 2 to 3 years, while on other occasions, Alcon products were sold for 20 years or more with little or no competition. To a larger extent, the timing of the development effort was critical. If the development of particular drug pursued too early, the company could be subject to a high profitability of failure and or significant extra development expense. And if problems were found after introduction, possible legal liability expense. If the development was pursued too late, the result would be a me-too product. A me-too product means a product created by a company that is similar to other company product in order to prevent the competitor from maximizing the market share.
Planning and budgeting. Planning was an iterative process. Mr. Lon and Dr. Rafa began the process by setting program and project objectives and priorities and by outlining an overall budget for the R&D department. In establishing the guidelines, Mr. Lon and Dr. Rafa met with Alcon director and top-level manager to ensure that they had a good understanding. Then, directors and managers in each medical specialties group and each clinical science department determine the labor hours and resources required to satisfy project and program objectives. After the plans were prepared, Dr. Rafa reviewed them and made suggestions and adjustments as necessary. Then the plans were consolidated and compared with the overall targets, and sometimes further adjustments were necessary. Mr. Lon had two main concerns about the planning process. The first, he wondered if too much detail was still being required. The second, he wondered if required number about the research made and the manager and scientific conservative in presenting their ideas. Measurement and reporting. Accounting in the R&D department was done on a full absorption cost basis. All direct expense, both labor and material, we charge to specific programs and projects. Cost reports are summarized at various levels of aggregation, such as by type of medical specialty and by type of or program. The program or project cost accounting system provides the information necessary to monitor the flow of resources to the medical specialty, research versus development, and for long-term versus short-term objectives. Alcon management recognized that the cost reports were not very useful for measuring the productivity of the R&D activity. Traditional accounting measurements such as term on investment were not very meaningful because the lag between the investment in R&D and the return generated for this investment was usually at least several years.
Here I want to explain about the incentive plans. Alcon used to formal incentive plan with offered cash award for good performance. One for scientists and one for senior level managers. The scientist intensive plans was introduced in the R&D department. 4 cash award of 50,000 each were made annually for technical excellence. The awards were split between scientists doing basic research and those involved in development activities. Candidates for the scientist award were nominated by director level manager in the R&D department. The candidates' accomplishments were judged by a 7-person committee, which included 4 working level scientists, 2 director level manager, and 1 person for of the R&D. The committee assigned the awards based on participable contribution or universal problem-solving capabilities, which are perceptible to fellow workers.
Okay, so the conclusion of this case and relation with the material chapter 3 is the Alcon Laboratories are concerned about their productivity in the use of research. They are afraid that the project they are doing is wasting research, time, energy, and so on. In chapter 3, they talk about personnel and cultural controls, which managers implement to encourage either or both of two. This is about self and mutual monitoring. This force can be encouraged in a number of ways, including effective personnel selection and placement, training, codes of conduct, group rewards, intra-organizational transfers, physical and social agreements, and include jobs design and provision of necessary resources. The personnel and cultural control can be applied by Alcon's managers in overcoming their problems in utilizing resources productively. Alcon Laboratories also provide incentive to its employees, such as providing rewards that can motivate them to work well and improve their performance in doing projects. And this is contained in the theory of control personnel. Okay, that's it from our group explanation. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe and share. So, goodbye. See you on next video. Bye-bye.